It is 7:30 in the evening at your house. Every light in every room is burning. The television is talking to an empty sofa. There is a tablet glowing in the hands of a child who was supposed to be asleep 40 minutes ago. And somewhere upstairs, another one is crying about nothing at all. In my kitchen, at this very same hour, there is one oil lamp lit on the table, 6 children around it, and the loudest sound in the room is a pencil. No screens, no shouting, no bedtime war. The whole thing runs on a $12 lamp, and one rule my family has never broken: stay with me. My name is Mammi Sarah. I am Amish. I live on a farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, in the same farmhouse where my mother raised me, and I raised 6 children under this roof without a single screen in the house. 6 children. 2 boys and 4 girls, born across 11 years. Every one of them as different as the fingers on your hand. And in more than 30 years of evenings, I can count on one hand the bedtimes that ended in tears. My grandchildren come to stay in the summers now, children who have tablets and televisions waiting for them at home. And by the 3rd night under this roof, they go up those stairs calm as old cats. It is not because I am stern. I am not, whatever my daughters may tell you. It is because of what happens in this house between supper and sleep. Tonight, I am going to walk you through the whole of it, the evening rule, every piece in the order we do it, what little it costs, and why it works on a child's body the way a warm bath works on a sore back. And then I'm going to tell you the part that should make you uneasy, which is that the people who make those glowing screens know exactly what that light does to a child's sleep. They have known for years. They pay some of the cleverest young people in this country to make sure your son cannot put the thing down. Your child is not failing to calm down. Your child is losing a fight against a machine that was built to win it. I am going to show you how we simply never let that fight begin. Let me start with what most folks get wrong, because if you do not understand this, none of the rest will work. Calm is not something you can order a child to feel. You cannot command it. You cannot bribe it, and you certainly cannot switch it on at 8 o'clock sharp at the end of a day that has been running at full gallop. Calm is something a child catches. She catches it from the room, from the light, from the pace of the people around her, the same way she catches a cold, from whoever is closest. A child's little body is asking one question all day long: is the day still going, or is the day done? And she does not answer that question with her mind. She answers it with her eyes and her ears and her skin. If the house is lit up bright as noon, the day is still going. If the television is talking, the day is still going. If her mother is hurrying from room to room, the day is still going. You can put that child in her night clothes and read her a story and plead and bargain and threaten, and her body will stay wide awake because everything around her is shouting daytime. Most families try to quiet the child while the house is still loud. We do it the other way around. We quiet the house, and the children follow. The evening rule is nothing more than that, done the same way every night, until it comes as regular as the sunset it is copied from. This is what we have always done. My mother raised 8 of us in this same kitchen, and her rule was the lamp. When the supper dishes were washed and put up, she lifted the oil lamp down from the shelf beside the stove, set it in the middle of the table, and lit it. That was the whole announcement. Nobody rang a bell. Nobody said, "Now you settle down." When the lamp came to the table, the day was over, and every child in the house knew it the way you know Sunday from Monday. The brighter lanterns were put out. My father wound the clock on the mantel, slow as he did everything, and sat down with the harness he was mending. And 8 children came in to that little circle of light the way chicks come in under the hen, because there was nowhere else in the house to be. The dark did half the work, and the sameness did the rest. My mother had the rule from her mother, who crossed the ocean with a Bible, a chest of linens, and the habits that raised 12 children in a 2-room house. When I married and the babies came, I did not invent one single thing. I lifted the same kind of lamp onto my own table. You can buy that lamp today at any hardware store, glass chimney and all, for about $12. I priced one in town last month. $12, and it will outlive your grandchildren. So now let me give you the rule itself, piece by piece, in the order we keep it every night of the year, because the order matters as much as the pieces do. The first piece is the hour, and the hour never moves. You Pick the moment the evening begins, and in this house it begins when supper is cleared, which for us is close to 7 o'clock, and you hold to it on Tuesday and on Saturday, and on the night the cousins visit, and on the night you are bone-tired and sorely tempted to let things slide. A child's body keeps time better than any clock my father ever wound. Feed a child at the same hour, dim the house at the same hour, and inside of 2 weeks her body begins the settling on its own, the way a horse turns for the barn before you have touched the rein. Move the hour around from night to night, and you are asking her body to guess. A guessing child is a restless child. The hour costs you nothing but the deciding of it, and the deciding is done once. The second piece is the light, and the light is the heart of the whole thing. When the hour comes, the bright lights go out, and one warm lamp comes to the table. 1. In this house, it is the oil lamp, the $12 lamp I told you about. In your house, it can be a plain candle in a saucer, and a box of plain white candles is $4 at any grocery store. Or it can be one small lamp with a dim, warm bulb set in the middle of the table, if that is what you have. What matters is this. The room goes from noon to dusk in 1 minute, and everything with a screen in it goes dark before any child is asked to do anything at all. The screens go to bed before the children do. That is how we say it to the grandchildren, and they say it back to me now, which does an old woman's heart good. Every glowing thing goes into a basket, and the basket goes up on the high shelf in the pantry, and the pantry door is shut. And listen to me close now, because here is the part that stings. Yours goes in the basket too. A child will forgive the dark. A child will not forgive sitting in the dark while her mother's face is lit up blue by the very thing that was just taken from her own hands. The rule is the house's rule, not the children's rule. My husband, God rest him, kept his newspaper in the evenings, and I kept my mending, and no child of ours ever once saw either of us being entertained by something they were denied. That is half the secret, and it costs no money at all. It costs you your own evening, which I will grant you is not nothing. I never said this was free of sacrifice. I said it was free of expense, and there is a difference worth thinking about. The third piece is the hands. 6 children around one lamp, with nothing to do is not calm. It is a kettle coming up to the boil, so every pair of hands gets quiet work. In this house, there is a basket for each child, an old peach basket or a bread basket, each one with a name on it, kept on the bottom shelf of the hutch where small arms can reach. For the littlest ones, a jar of buttons to sort by color into muffin tins, or a cup of dried beans and an egg carton, or wooden blocks, or sewing cards with a shoelace. For the middle ones, drawing paper and pencils, a slate, a simple wooden puzzle, a length of yarn and a crochet hook, a checkerboard if 2 of them are on speaking terms that night. For the big ones, a book of their own choosing, real mending that the household actually needs, or a bit of whittling if they have earned the knife and sit close by me. The one law of the basket is this: it must be work the hands can do while the mind slows down. Nothing that beeps, nothing that flashes, nothing that wins or loses loudly. A 4-year-old sorting buttons in lamplight looks like nothing at all, and it is one of the most settling activities the good Lord ever designed, because the eyes are down, the fingers are busy, and the breathing slows all by itself. I have watched it happen 1,000 times, a wound-up child sitting down cross and stiff, and 10 minutes later the shoulders have come down from around the ears and the tongue is poking out the corner of the mouth in concentration. Nobody calmed that child. The buttons did. The fourth piece is the voice. When the lamp is lit, every voice in the house comes down to what we call the lamp voice, which is the voice you would use if a baby were sleeping in the next room. We do not shush the children. Shushing is loud, if you have ever noticed. We simply drop our own voices first, because you cannot ask a child for a voice you are not using yourself. With the little ones, we make a game of it, whispering like mice in the pantry, and a small child who is whispering cannot work herself into a fuss, because a fuss needs volume the way a fire needs air. Take away the air, and the fuss goes out. The fifth piece is the story, and this is the one the children would riot over if I ever dropped it. When the hands have been busy a while and the room has gone soft, one grown voice reads aloud. 1 chapter, sometimes 2 if the bread rose well and I am feeling generous. The same book, night after night, until it is finished, and then the solemn choosing of the next one, which In this house is treated nearly as serious as an election. A story told in chapters is a rope, and every evening is another pull on it, hand over hand, all 6 of them leaning in over their baskets to hear what happens to the boy lost in the snow. They come to the table at 7 without being called twice, because the story is waiting, and the story will not wait forever. I read the same books to my grandchildren now that I read to their mothers, and I catch my grown daughters standing in the doorway with dish towels in their hands, listening, pretending they are not.
The 6th piece is the ending, and the ending is always the same, in the same order, like the last steps of a staircase. The baskets are put back on the hutch shelf by the hands that emptied them. The lamp is carried by the oldest child to the foot of the stairs, which is an honor, and they take turns at it and keep track of whose night it is with the fierceness of bankers. There is a quiet word of thanks. Each child
one small thing from the day, and a short prayer, and I will not preach at you about that part. Only say that a child who ends the day naming what was good in it sleeps on a softer pillow. Then washing, then up the stairs, and the body knows every one of those steps so well that each step is itself a stair going down toward sleep. By the time the last small head touches the last pillow, sleep is not something I have to enforce. It is something that has already begun. Now let me tell you why. This works, in plain words, because there is real science underneath the old habit, and it does an honest method no harm to say so. There is a chemical the body brews for itself when night comes on. The doctors call it melatonin, and I do not bother with the Latin any further than that. It is the body's own sleep syrup, and the body pours it out on one condition only, that the light around it be dim and warm, the color of sunset, the color of a flame. Sleep doctors have been measuring this for a good 40 years, and it is settled ground. And here is the other half, the half that matters for your house. A screen shines a cold blue sort of light, the color of the noon sky, and when that light lands in a child's eyes at 8 in the evening, her body reads it as morning, plain as that, and the syrup stops. The doctors who study it have found that an hour of that blue light in the evening can push the sleep syrup back by an hour or more, and a small body feels that push far harder than a grown one. So the English family, and I say the English kindly, that is only our word for folks outside our community, the English family hands the child a glowing rectangle to calm her down, and the rectangle is quietly telling every cell in her body that the day has started over. You could not design a better machine for winding a child up if you sat down and tried. The doctors have a second word too, for the way a small child settles against a settled grown-up. They call it co-regulation, and all it means is that a little heart paces itself by the big hearts nearest to it, which every mother who ever rocked a baby to sleep has known since Eden without needing the word. The lamp handles the first half. You handle the second. That is the whole science of the evening rule, and none of it needed batteries. Now I have to be honest with you about 3 things, because I would rather you trust me than be impressed by me. The first is that the first 3 nights are the hardest, and if your children are coming off screens every evening, the first 3 nights may be downright ugly. A child parted from a glowing thing will carry on like a bee-stung barn cat, and that is not because the child is bad. It is because the habit runs deep, and deep habits howl when they are pulled. Hold the line kindly, and do not negotiate, and nearly every child comes through it inside a week. Ask me how I know, because I have walked visiting grandchildren through it more summers than one. The second thing is that this is not magic. A cutting tooth, a fever, a hard day at school will still bring tears at 8 o'clock in my house, the same as in yours. The evening rule does not end crying. It ends the war. There is a difference, and the difference is the whole of your evening peace. And the third thing is this: if your child fights sleep night after night for months on end, or struggles in ways that rest and quiet do not mend, take her to your doctor and say so plainly, I am a mother and a grandmother, not a physician, and the good Lord gave us doctors for a reason. Anybody who tells you a lamp and a button jar will fix every trouble a child can have is selling you something. And now think for a minute about who makes money when your child cannot settle. The companies that make the shows and the games and the endless little videos are paid by the minute of your child's attention. Every minute her eyes are on the screen, somebody is paid, and every minute her eyes are on a jar of buttons, nobody is. Those companies hire rooms full of clever engineers whose entire job, the job they are salaried for, is to make the thing harder to put down, brighter at the edges, louder at the ending, always one more, always one more. And I will tell you something I have read more than once, that a good many of the folks who build these things send their own children to schools where the screens are not allowed and keep their own supper tables free of them. Sit with that a minute. Now, I do not believe there was ever a meeting in a dark room where wicked men planned to steal your evening. I do not believe in that kind of conspiracy. It is something worse, a quiet agreement among everyone who profits, to keep making it stronger and to never mention what it costs, because a calm child in a dim kitchen sorting buttons buys nothing, watches nothing, and clicks on nothing. There is no money in her. There is only a family. And so nobody with an advertising budget is ever going to tell you about the lamp rule, and I have no advertising budget, so here I am telling you for free. Our bishop said something once that I have kept. He said the evening is when a family remembers what it is. All day, the world pulls a household apart, to the barn, to the school, to the shop, every person to their own labors, and the evening is when God folds it back together, if you let Him. We are plain people, and we live this way on purpose, but you do not have to be plain to take this one thing from us. You do not need to buy calm for your children. Calm was never for sale. You only need to stop selling your evenings an hour at a time to people you have never met, who do not love your children, and who are paid by the minute to keep them awake. The families who built this country in log houses and sod houses knew how to bring 6 children down to sleep by one candle, not because they were wiser than you, but because there was nothing in the house arguing against the sunset. All I am telling you tonight is how to take the argument back out of the house. So tonight, here is what I want you to do. Pick your hour and write it where the family can see it, and let it be the same hour every night. When it comes, put the bright lights out and set one warm lamp or one plain candle in the middle of the table. $12 for the lamp, $4 for the candles. Put every screen in the house to bed first, in a basket on a high shelf behind a shut door, and put your own in with them, because the children will watch what you do with yours far closer than they listen to anything you say. Give every child a basket of quiet handwork, buttons, beans, paper and pencils, a puzzle, a book, things you mostly own already. Bring your voice down to the lamp voice and keep it there. Read one chapter aloud from a book worth waiting for. End the same way every night. Baskets, thanks, washing, stairs, in that order and no other. And hold the line for one full week before you judge any of it, because the first 3 nights belong to the old habit and the peace comes after. Call it $20 at the very most, once, for a calm that no store in this country can sell you at any price. Tell me in the comments below how many children are under your roof and what 7:30 looks like at your house tonight, the honest version, not the Sunday version. And tell me if you mean to try the lamp rule, because I want to hear how the 3rd night goes. I read every one of these, and the letters folks write back are the reason an old woman keeps talking into this machine. Next time, I am going to tell you how I get 6 children to eat what is set in front of them without one word of fuss and without ever cooking a second supper. And it involves a wooden spoon, 1 row of the garden, and a small job you would never think to give a 4-year-old. Until then, stay gentle, stay steady, and remember, the people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just starting to remember.